And if you're not very self-aware that the people around you are facilitating those comparison that would maybe or enhance you also comparing yourself, you know, you would force failure, to be honest. You would not be the best version of yourself. You'll be doing so much injustice to yourself. And what all that leads to is lack of confidence. Someone's success is not your failure. What necessarily makes one person happy does not mean that that same thing will make you happy. And this comes from you comparing yourself to other people. You compare the highs of other people, the successes of other people, to your own lows, to your own failure, which is not the way you should see things or the way you should approach things. Today, I'll be talking a lot about some of the impact or the effects of comparing yourself to other people, comparing yourself to others. And we're all humans and this is natural. However, you need to be self-aware when you start doing that so that you are not facing failure. I am Bola Omishade, and this is the Bola Adeyeye Omishade show. I teach people to build confidence. I support you to overcome self-doubt, to overcome that low self-esteem. I love to be your accountability partner. And if you want to be part of this community, all you need to do is subscribe. Reach out to me if you want to have additional conversation to support you, to help you to be your best self, to be that best person you want to be. So hit that subscribe button if you're watching from YouTube, and follow me if you're watching from Facebook. Thank you so much for doing that. Right, so when you see other people's successes, people, oh, I have been promoted after so many years of hard work. You all listening, oh, I bought a new house, or I bought a new cars, and then there's this part of you that starts comparing yourself with these people. Now, you know what you're doing. You are forgetting that there's a process. You're comparing where you are with where they have been. And someone was given a scenario. It says, when you see a farmer, there's a scenario of a farmer, they at the end of the day harvest their crops, and it's all beautiful, it's all really nice, but we tend not to think deeply about the process that brought them to that bit where they are able to harvest those produce. Now they have to maybe plow the soil, they have to prepare it, they have to ensure that the soil is good enough to plant the crop. And even after they have planted, they buried the crops, they have to wait. There is the waiting game, isn't it? So is this you? You're looking at, and you're looking at them harvesting their hard work. They have invested so many years, they have waited, they have put in a lot of work, and then yes, it's time for them to present their successes to you, and you're comparing it with your own failure. Sometimes it could be a case of maybe you both putting in the same amount of work, and you're not progressing as you should be. But you see, I really want you to start seeing life that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If you're going to succeed in that thing, you will succeed in that thing, as long as you have put in the right amount of work. Now, everybody's successes is different. Now, you might even succeed in that thing, and that's not necessarily what makes you happy. That's not necessarily what gives you fulfillment, and of course, even if you have failed, you have to keep trying all over and over again. So be very careful when you're comparing your own self to other people's highs. And over again, I have talked about what the social media presents. Everybody posts positivity. They post their successes. They post their highs on social media. And you spend so many hours scrolling through other people's highs, and you're comparing it with your own lows. You're comparing it with your own starting points. Somebody has been running a business for 10 years. They've been running a business for 5 years. And you're there. You only started your business a year ago. And you're comparing yourself with those people. You know, that's not your own success. You need to put, or maybe you have even tried and you have failed. Have you taken your time to ask them how many times they have failed, how many times they have fallen to the floor and they have had to stand up? You know, for you to succeed, you need to be very, very persistent. You need to be patient and be very careful not to compare yourself. Now, in some cases, some people will say, oh, I'm trying to compare myself to this person so that it can inspire me, so that, you know, you really have to be careful, because if you're comparing yourself in a very positive way and you're not self-aware, there is a tendency that it will maybe facilitate insecurities, because sometimes you start feeling insecure and then you start feeling that you start having that feeling of toxic, a very toxic environment. Because trust me, if you're not self-aware, there is a potential that you start being jealous. You know, and how many of you have been in a situation where you know, like I'm a fan of saying, be in the right community. You're in the right community. You are around the right set of people who, of course, who you're like minds, but you are not yet there. But you start feeling like, oh, I'm not so good. You have that fear that, oh gosh, I don't think I can be as good as these people, because they are all there, you know, because they're already there. But have you asked yourself, have I put in the right amount of work? You know, and you know, this is how you should start thinking about it. You need to, apparently, you shouldn't, the only person you should compare yourself with is you. And that is, compare yourself today with who you were yesterday. Have you looked at those achievements that you have made? Have you looked at those progress that you have made? You know, spend so much time working on yourself. Spend so much time, you know, investing. I gave you the example of the farmer. You know, prepare the soil, prepare the crop. Ensure that even when you have planted it, water it so that it will grow. Where is that your goal? Have you invested in that goal? Have you put in so much effort in that goal? You know, and be very patient. In some cases, when you find yourself in a community and you're trying to compare yourself to other people, and you're self-aware, you know, but you see that you're feeling very insecure, or maybe it starts becoming toxic, you know, that sort of jealousy starts setting in. Set a healthy boundary. You know, so the healthy is either maybe you leave the community since you're not able to control it. You know, if it's on social media, you want to unfollow that person, it's okay. It doesn't mean that you necessarily do not like that person. It's just you setting a healthy boundary. It's just you putting your mental health to check. It's just you getting rid of those things that will stand in your way. So when you unfollow those people, and it could just be unfollowing them for some time. It doesn't mean that it has to be forever. It does not mean that you hate them. It just means that you're not able to manage that comparison. And you are human. You have to accept that you're human. And in other cases, you might want to approach this person and say, well, I really like you. I really like what you're doing. I really like your successes. You know, you need to be very vocal and you talk about it. Have a conversation, healthy conversation with this person. And that would help limit you comparing yourself. That would help limit you comparing their successes with your own failure. That would help you put you in line to get to where you want to get to. Now, you are not doing justice to yourself yourself when you are comparing yourself, when you are comparing other people's highs with your own lows. You're not being your best self. You're not being your own best version, and one question that you need to ask yourself is, what is the origin of this comparison? I have said in the past, the people around you, the people you have around you can be the origin, or maybe it's something that you started gradually, and you already obsessed about comparing yourself, because this person has succeeded. It's an obsession already. In the past, because I have actually been through this phase before, and at some point I realized that I had people around me who put so much expectations, and we used other people to gauge our own success. You can't do this because Mr. A or Mr. B has not done that. And that's not even coming from me. That's coming from the people around me. You have to wear this because so person has won this. You can't post this on social media because this group of people don't post on social media. That comparison is directly not coming from you. You need to be very careful, and if you're not very self-aware that the people around you are facilitating those comparison that would maybe or enhance you also comparing yourself, you would force failure, to be honest. You would not be the best version of yourself. You'll be doing so much injustice to yourself. And what all that leads to is lack of confidence. What all that leads to is you don't believe in yourself anymore, because in addition to you doing a lot of comparison, the people around you are very toxic. There's a lot of comparison going on. You need to be very careful. And that's why I say choose wisely. Choose wisely. And sometimes it can be family and friends, and it's very difficult to get rid of family and friends, especially when they are doing a lot of comparison. But then you need to set that healthy boundary. You need to change your own self, or not necessarily change yourself. You need to work on yourself. And maybe when that sort of conversation starts, when you start having those sort of conversation, you are self-aware and you are able to, exclude yourself from having that kind of comparison conversation. So always be very careful to remember and think about the origin of where that comparison is coming from. When other people succeed, it's not a time for you to start comparing. It's time you can appreciate them, you can rejoice with them, you can celebrate with them, but it's not you. Look at those things that you have achieved, those your small successes, those things that makes you stand out, those things that makes you you. At some point in my life, it was a music. I always say, I am me, and yes, because you have to be you. That's the only way you can be the best version of yourself. When you're comparing yourself to other people, you are not being your best self. You are not that potential that you have would be hidden because you're trying to live other people's life. You're trying to look at other people's story. And yes, in some cases, when you say, I'm trying to look at the story so that I can be better, you need to be very careful to not to create that toxic environment where jealousy starts setting, where you start being insecure with yourself, where you start having that feeling of, I'm not able to do it, I can't be as good as these people. Remember that these people started from somewhere. Remember that they have failures. Remember that they have their own bad side. Somebody was saying something. You see people with all the successes, with very good cars, with very good houses, and he used a specific example. You see this person in this very big car, very luxury car. What's the probability that he's just going to hit that car on the wall so that he smashes everything and end everything? So you don't know the story behind those successes. You don't know what is going on at the back end. You don't know what the process is. And in this age and time where we live in a very filtered world, we're comparing ourselves with all those filters on social media. You can't do that to yourself. So instead of comparing other people's successes with your own failure, spend time on learning. Spend time on identifying those things that will get you to where you want to be. Spend time investing in your own self, investing in achieving those your own goals. Spend time on reflecting on what you have, what you were yesterday, and what you want to be. And that is how you should look at it. Where do I want to be? Where have I been? Am I better? Is my today better than my yesterday? Because it just helps you align to say that I am making progress. And how can I be better in the future? What do I need to do to be better in the future? That is what you should spend your time doing. Is this you? Can you relate? Are you in that place where you feel that you are not succeeding? Are you in that place now where you feel you're not making any progress? Are you better than what you were yesterday? Can you spend time investing in achieving your goal? Can you be focused? Can you be patient as well? Can you be consistent? Because you will get there. And one thing in life that I have realized is whatever belongs to you will never be taken from you. But you see, what is for other people can never get to you except you are stealing it. And when you steal something, you know what the repercussions are. You will not even enjoy it because you are there, you are worried that this is not yours. You have stolen it. So whatever is yours will remain with you. Spend so much time, spend lots of your time, invest your time in improving yourself. Invest your time in celebrating those your small progresses. Spend so much time in preparing for your future. If you find yourself in a community that is very toxic, feel free to set the boundaries. Feel free to leave that environment. Feel free to unfollow that person. Yeah, it's just makes you want to put your mental health to check. Overall, back to the main point. You cannot compare other people's successes with your own failure. You cannot compare other people's highs with your own lows. What they are showing to you is their perfect side. There is a process behind it. You need to ask yourself, have I been through that process? Cultivate the habit of reflecting and putting yourself to check. Don't get to the point where you are obsessed over the wrong thing and it becomes a habit. Yes, and I believe that, the moment you start being self-aware, you are in the process of being your best self. You are in the process of achieving those your goals. So life happens, I know. Sometimes it just feels like you're standstill and you're not moving forward. All you need to do is just keep going. All you need to do is keep pushing forward. Ensure that you are pushing forward in the right direction and stay positive. Somebody might need to hear this. I want you to share it with them. If you have found value, I want you to give it a thumbs up. And in the comment, I want to hear from you. Have you had times where you have compared yourself to other people? How did you handle the situation? Have you looked at other people's successes and feel that you are a failure? How have you handled that? I want you to leave it in the comment. Tell me how you've been able to handle it. Tell me how you've been able to resolve those situations. And you will not be doing any good if you're not sharing this with other people, those that need to hear this, those that need this wake-up call, to remind them that, you know, comparing yourself to other people would only force failure. Share this, and I am really grateful if you share this. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any question, as usual, you want to have a one-to-one with me, you want to have that intimate conversation with me, you're struggling, you feel you're losing confidence, you feel that you have so much low self-esteem, you're doubting yourself, and you want to have a conversation with me, you know, I want you to send me an email, and I would give you a free 15-minute session to talk about these concerns, and we plan and work a way towards you being the best version of yourself. The email is on the screen, and do not forget to do that. If you have not followed me on my social media pages, I want you to do that. And yes, I am really appreciative that you are part of this community. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. And yes, I'll see you again same time next week. This is Bola Adeyeye Omishade. Have a good evening.